My name is Joseph Terrell, and I'm from North Carolina, and I went to UNC and graduated in 2013 with a degree in religious studies. I didn't start to study religious studies because I was a religious person wanting to learn about my religion. It was because I grew up in a religious culture, and music was one of my main entrance points into seeing my culture in that way. And also in the way that religion and culture and the study of religious anthropology fits together, the whole idea of making the strange familiar and the familiar strange. I was turning 18 and I wanted to go to school somewhere else. I'm really glad that I came to Carolina. But, in my kind of teenage angst years, I wanted to go far away. When I ended up staying here, I think I approached college with a fresh energy towards figuring this place out and wanting to understand it. I knew I loved music, and I was studying music that was from here. And I started learning guitar from my grandma in church, which was just how I grew up, but it is also ended up being a very convenient origin story for a folk musician. It's got authentic written all over it. And so I wanted to think about, it was me and where I grew up and who I am and where I'm from. What does it mean to be in this thickly religious background? Why do we do the things we do? Some stuff as basic as that, I came to school not at all thinking that I was going to be a musician. I took music classes because I thought it was fascinating and wanted to keep that as a part of my life, but I didn't want to be a musician or be in a band. I wasn't putting up flyers to meet bandmates. It just so happened that I wanted to keep it up and started playing with some friends, and I was getting interested in music from North Carolina. Some of the great bluegrass and old-time folks like Doc Watson and Earl Scruggs and Tommy Jarrell and Libba Cotton, folk musicians that grew up and are from Carborough and Chapel Hill even. So since I was here and since I was in North Carolina, I figured I would explore that some and learn about that. And we started playing shows for fun and being asked to play more shows, and completely accidentally kind of formed a band and named ourselves. And the reason we chose the silly name of MIPSO was because we were 19 years old and thought it was funny. And so that sort of thing follows you around. But I didn't know that I was going to be a musician, but I was sort of paying attention, studying it. Well, actually, I grew up in a particularly North Carolina version of a religious family, I think. I grew up in a really Quaker family that goes that's Quaker way back. And it's a pretty mainstream Christian Protestant denomination now, but it's got a fascinating history and a very North Carolina history. And I think as I was looking back at the history of North Carolina through this music and where this stuff came from, it made sense to at the same time be thinking about where I came from in my family. Those things just overlaid nicely. Yeah. Although it's taken me a while to embrace this kind of language, I definitely do consider myself and would call myself an artist and a musician and a songwriter. And in addition to that, I'm a Southern songwriter. And I don't think it's possible to understand the South and think critically about the South without thinking really critically about religion. And I took a lot of amazing classes in religious studies here that gave me sort of a different vocabulary through which to approach those questions. A lot of my classes were about early Christianity or Coptic communities or Gnosticism, or one of my favorite classes was with Boyarin and Ochoa, was religion and colonialism, which was one of those sort of mind-shifting, amazing, just, it was a whole new chapter of my life. It was a before and after experience, just really realizing what colonialism was and how it shaped the world. That had nothing to do with the South necessarily, but it was a way, it just was an exercise in peeling back layers that helped me to do that in lots of other ways. And also, tons of my first songs that I was writing were not just implicitly, but explicitly about religion. It was sort of this if you're going to write music, I felt if I'm going to write music in a really, in the early stuff that MIPSO was doing was very influenced by traditional bluegrass and old-time music, but with a little pop twist, I think. So I'd write a gospel song, but it'd be a gospel song with a twist. So it'd be in that form, but let me put my spin on it. And I don't want it to be a praise Jesus gospel song, but more let's think about this. So it's in the form of gospel, but not exactly subversive, but with a twist, like I said. I think it's a pretty common experience to tell someone that I was a religious studies major, and they'll sort of laugh and be like, "Oh, well, good thing you're using your major." And it's like, no, you don't understand. I got a liberal arts degree in a great department, and it completely formed who I am. And it was an excellent education to be a songwriter. Like in religious studies too, it doesn't prescribe you a one distinct path. It gave me, I don't know how many it was, dozens of great professors and a list of amazing courses that were difficult and rigorous and interesting, and kind of let my mind wander and take what I wanted. And I knew it was going to amount to a religious studies degree, but I knew too that I could make it what I wanted, kind of like form these ideas on my own. I felt like if you want to get a great liberal arts degree, which I think requires a certain amount of personal responsibility to like form yourself and take these big ideas seriously and make a degree that fits you, do it in a department that you can do that.
Yeah.